hit record. And I see people popping on. Hi, guys. So give me a minute, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stream into Facebook today, and then I'm going to do a sound check with you guys, and we're just going to get started with Patty here today. Hold on a moment. And we're going live, which is, I love this. Have you done this yet, Patty, going live from Zoom into Facebook?
Yes, I have. Oh, no, not into Facebook. We're on Facebook?
We're going to be in a minute.
Oh, boy.
Yep, I'll tell you when we are. Hold on a moment. It's now,
okay.
Yep.
All
now
right.
We're streaming into Facebook. Awesome. And it's working.
Yay. Okay, cool.
Okay, hold on a second. I got to do a volume thing here. Let's shut this off. And can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I can.
See, I'm having a problem with my volume on Facebook. Hold on a minute. Just give me a second here. Oh, please let this work. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting feedback, so hold on a sec. Oh, it's not going to happen. Darn it. Okay, hey, people on Facebook, I'm going to share this with you guys after. We're getting too much feedback to make this happen. So I apologize, but we're going to stop streaming live for a moment, and we're just going to get started. Here we go. Okay, that didn't work. I don't know what's happening with that. There's feedback there's some sort of a volume thing. So I'm going to just share it in all my groups. So you're going to hit a few thousand people anyway, whether you like that or not, Patty. Yay! Okay. All right, everyone can hear us. I'm getting some positive responses that they're hearing us okay. And I want to do a proper introduction here and let people know who you are and how grateful I am to have you. So Patt Ptak joined us today with 23 years of experience in the health and wellness industry. She was the owner and hands-on administrator of a busy wellness clinic in Los Angeles for 18 years and successfully grew the practice from 11 to 200 patients a day in just 2.5 years. That's amazing. Using only her own brand of internal marketing techniques. For 4 years, Patty was the executive director of JJ Version's Mindshare Summit, helping to direct, develop, and shape this premier event for health experts. As a part of this organization, Patty served as a lead coach for the Mindshare Mastermind, working with New York Times bestselling authors, PBS celebrities, and a variety of online and offline health experts to help them grow their businesses, increase their impact, we all need that, and achieve personal and professional success. Patty now devotes her attention full-time to Practice on Purpose, a consulting practice development firm to help holistic health experts create a business that allows them to find more time, make more money, and have the freedom to enjoy both. And I need you. We all need you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share some valuable information with us today, Patty.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. There's really nowhere I'd rather be right now than here with you because I'm so excited to be talking to health coaches. And what you didn't say in your intro for me is that I actually was a health coach. I was trained as a health coach in the Well Coaches health coaching program. Like way back when, probably 10 years ago, I think I went through that program. So, and back then there were like maybe 2 or 3 programs to choose from. There were not a whole lot of programs to choose from. So I am so excited that you have this program, that more programs are available for people to learn how to do health coaching. Essentially you said that I ran a wellness center for 18 years, and really how I started out was sort of like a health coach. Really, back before it was called a health coach, that's what I was doing when I first started, because the doctor needed help. I mean, he needed help. And, let me just kind of back up a little bit and let you know how I got into this industry, because if you would have told me 25 years ago I would be in the health and wellness industry, I'd say you're crazy. There is no way. I didn't like it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And especially holistic health, because my mom was a registered nurse. My dad was a pharmacist in the Air Force.
Oh.
So they were very Western medical, like anything that happened, there's a pill for that. There's a prescription for that. Let's put you on this. So that's how I was raised. I mean, really, I was on a lot of antibiotics. I had a lot of health problems, health challenges from birth. And they took me to orthopedists. I went through that whole medical model. So I never went to a holistic healer. And they said I was forbidden from seeing a chiropractor. My grandmother used to sneak me off to the chiropractor when I'd go visit her in the summer. And she'd say, don't tell your since we came here. So that was what, it was like a big secret, and you don't talk about any kind of natural healing things that you do. So, for me to be here doing what I'm doing, coming from the background that I have, I'm so grateful to be doing this. So anyway, am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, you're going to go ahead and share your screen, but I want to back up for 1 second. I want to know, I'm really curious on that personal story. How do your parents, how do they see you in this space that you're in now? How did they receive the fact that you were migrating away from that conventional thought process into a more holistic thought, idea and mindset?
Yeah, that was pretty interesting, because I asked my mom, I said, because they would say, don't go see a chiropractor. Like in nursing school, they trained her to never do that. Yeah. And I said to my mom, I said, well, how come once I started working in the office and really understanding more about holistic medicine and getting better, having my own healing and deciding to go into that field as a profession, I said, Mom, where did you get the idea that chiropractors were quacks, or that, all these myths that you hear? She said, and she thought about it really for a while. And she goes, I don't know. Now my mom's under chiropractic care. My dad is under chiropractic care. My mom deals a lot with essential oils. I mean, she's like way off the charts now.
Oh my gosh.
Going into holistic stuff. Yeah. So it's really, I mean, there are now converts, believe it or not, because usually your family is the hardest one to get converted, but they're advocates of chiropractic and more natural healing stuff. They still don't eat organic, but hey,
you got to start with something,
right?
You
can get, right?
Yeah. I had an uncle that was a chiropractor, and he, I was raised with very holistically. I mean, we did everything holistically. My mom made our wheat berries for our bread and all of that. Wow. And interestingly enough, we migrated away from that the busier we got. And then she and my dad ended up with some health issues, and I'm the one that brought them back to what they taught me to start with.
Oh, very cool.
So isn't that interesting how we come full circle? But yeah. Okay, so go ahead and get started. Let's get started. We don't want to waste another minute.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so anyway, I ended up, working in that clinic, and let me just pull up my PowerPoint here. Let's see, slideshow. Here we go. So here is my intro. So launching your successful health coaching practice. Can you see my screen now?
No, I can't. You probably, you'll just have to.
I'm supposed to do something here. I think I was me that was supposed to.
Yeah, at the bottom, just hit that green folder.
Share screen, right.
There you go.
Okay. And now we're going to share this one right here. And okay, here we go. So, and I think I have to now hit the play button. Okay.
There we go.
Here we go. Look at, this is so awesome. I love Zoom. This is great.
Oh, Zoom is so easy. Yes.
Let's hope I keep saying that as we go along. All right. So launching your successful health coaching practice. So like I said, I ran a practice for 18 years. I was a very reluctant clinic administrator. I really did not have any plans to be in the health industry, but as fate would have it, the universe had different plans for me. And through one thing after another, in 1992, I had 3 car accidents in 3 months. And from those 3 car accidents, I could not get better. And, because of my background, I did not see any holistic doctors. So people would drag me off to chiropractors once in a while. They'd see how hurt I was and how miserable I was. And they'd say, hey, you got to come see my guy. You got to come see my chiropractor. I think they can really help you. So I'd go. And I, again, wouldn't get results. But, one of the biggest problems, I think, when I would go see these doctors was there was not a lot of support in their office. There wasn't a lot of education. So it was just sort of like, okay, fill out this paperwork, see the doctor. The doctor's going to assess you, diagnose you, and then, treat you. But they didn't talk about anything. They didn't say what was going to happen on the first visit, second visit, third visit. Not a lot of communication, not a lot of support. Here you go. Here's your prescription. Here's your stuff. Here are the things that you should be doing, and come back in 2 weeks. And okay, come back in 2 weeks and what? Do the same thing we just did? That didn't do me any good this past 2 weeks. So I'm going to keep coming back. And so, I went to see all the top specialists in LA, and I still was no better after 8 months of care. And finally, they just gave up on me. They said, what, maybe you should see a psychiatrist. So that was their answer for me. We can't help you anymore. There's nothing more we can do. So maybe it's all in your head. And I'm like, well, no, it's not in my head. I want to work full time. I was working part time only. I had taken 3 months off work to just kind of recoup and rest. I went to an island with no cars to avoid car accidents. And
Wow.
I came back and I was only able to work 1 week full time, and all my problems came right back. One of the problems was that I was taking a lot of pain meds, a lot of prescriptions. I couldn't sleep, so I was taking Soma at night. I was taking Flexeril, muscle relaxants, anti-anxiety pills, all
Mm.
of these things. They just kept piling more and more prescriptions on top of me. And it's really hard for your body to heal when you're on all those drugs.
Yep.
Basically, I think that's one of those. That's one of the problems. And another problem was I was really under a lot of pressure. I was $30,000 in debt from medical bills. I
Mm.
just spent all this money on all these people, and nothing helped. So by the time I finally met the doctor that saved my life, I just had given up. I didn't want to have anything more to do with doctors, lawyers, anything like that, what I was dealing with. So, but one thing led to another. And, this guy, I started to date him, not a doctor, because I didn't want to even have hope that I was going to get better. So we started
Right.
dating, and eventually I got better. And I got so much better that I wanted to help him in the office. And I wanted to share with other people what I had learned about the healing process. Because in that process, he had taught me a lot about what I needed to do. You got to get off the drugs, you got to get off the pills. And there was a lot of support too. He'd taken an interest in me, and he sort of held my hand and helped me through that whole healing process. And I think that's what's so important. So that's what I started doing in the office. I started to educate people. I started to sort of take them under my wing and said, hey, you know what? You're going through something. Let me help you. Talk to me. Let's have a conversation. If you ever want to talk to me, I totally understand what's happening with you. And so essentially, helping support them, giving them diet and lifestyle tips, exercise, things like that. So I think that's really the reason that the practice exploded. And I mean, like internal marketing techniques. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff in the office to build community and things like that. But I think it was more like people just wanted to have support to get better. And I think that's
Mm.
what's so important. It's like in anything. I mean, in what you're doing in having a community of like-minded people to help you to achieve your business goals even. It's just building community where people really understand you. They understand how to help you, or they've done it before and they're willing to help mentor you through the whole process. And that's why I'm so honored to be here and really so happy to be talking to you, because people need you. People
Oh,
need you.
yes.
There might be somebody different sitting here talking to you today. Had I not, had that doctor not taken an interest in me, and had
Hmm.
I not learned what I learned, because honestly, I don't know if I'd really be here today, either on the planet or here doing what I'm doing for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, we are
So
ultimately blessed by you. And honestly, I love that you're sharing your story, because so many times when I'm teaching my coaches, I always tell them, I say, your story has such impact and is so powerful. It's because I
wow.
think one thing where you're saying that, the support people need, they also want to feel like they're not the only one, and they're not alone in their struggles
Yeah.
or how they feel or where they are in their health. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Super important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just because then you get to know people and you get to know, oh, that's why they're doing this. I
Hmm.
mean, I would always share my story, and in the chiropractic office, even with every new patient, I told them, look, I was a reluctant patient. I didn't like chiropractors. I didn't like chiropractic, but here I am now. The doctor, same thing. He didn't like chiropractors, and the whole profession of chiropractic too.
Yeah.
It survived because it works, and that's why. So you can tell your story. You can tell the story of the doctor that you work for or with. You can tell the story of the profession that you're working in. If we're going to talk a little later about working in a doctor's office. And that's something that's super, super important, because people can remember that. It gives them an anchor to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? The doctor's just not here to make money. They have a mission, and you're not here just to make money. You have a mission. So I'm with you. I want you to help me.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's the picture of the office, a couple iterations, but we would put pictures of our patients all over the place, and just to, and that's a lot of social proof. Really, all these things we did, I didn't even know we were doing them until I got into marketing. It's just all this stuff that just kind of naturally occurred. Turns out these are marketing things that you're supposed to do. So let's get right into the business of health coaching. So building the foundation for your successful coaching business. And there are a few essential elements. So number one is identify your ideal client. So you need to know who they are before you can really attract the right people to you and what you're doing. So that's what, people talk about, having a niche market, whatever. So it's within your niche, but also knowing the pain points and the problems of who your ideal client is almost better than they do, so that you can really say, to them, you can really say in your marketing, kind of put words to maybe what they're thinking. So if you know their problem better than they do, you can articulate it better than they can. They'll be like, oh my gosh, that person really understands me. I need to talk to them. And then we're going to talk about attracting and keeping your clients. So when you know who they are, you'll know where to find them, using the words to attract them. And then, most of all, is also keep them connected to you. Because if you can keep more of your clients with you as you release new programs and as you do new things, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on going out and getting new clients. And as we all know, that's really expensive, right? We're going to talk about marketing and sales, promoting yourself, community marketing, social media marketing, all the different kinds of marketing there is, and then keeping it all together. I'm going to talk a little bit about some tools that you can use to keep your business together. So let's go quickly. I know it'll be like drinking from a fire hose because I have a lot of information to cover. So let's define your ideal client, how old they are, what's their marital status, what's their income, do they have kids, all these things. And these are really important because, you can just write all this stuff down about your ideal client, and then you'll be able to really know where they hang out based on all the demographics about them, right? You'll know where, like if you want to, you can find them at soccer practice, or where will you want to have a presence based on who they are and what they do. So what are the fears and frustrations that keep them up at night? What are they most scared of? What is it that they're afraid of losing or not getting? And what are their pain points? What are the things that really, that they can't do because of their condition? And let's see, another one. Oh, so my little window's right in front of my PowerPoint. Hold on.
That
So
happens to me too.
what do they do in their free time? So what is it? Like, what hobbies do they have? Where do they hang out? Do they like baseball? Do they like football? Like what is it? Do they garden? One of my clients found like a gold mine in a gardening group. Like this gardening group, they loved his stuff and they would buy it and they would tell their friends, and it was just crazy. So you never know where your ideal clients are going to be. What happened? Something happened here. I'm not able to. Oh, shoot. This happened before.
Sometimes it happens with animation when they slide in or something like that, that there's a pause on it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So, and then what social media sites are they on? So if they're, are they on Facebook? Are they women? You really, you want to look and make sure, because if your audience is 17-year-old boys, don't do an advertising campaign on Facebook because they're not there. I have a 17-year-old son and he's like, Mom, I wouldn't be caught dead on Facebook. He's like,
really?
Oh yeah, he is like so anti-Facebook. It's really funny. So he's Snapchat. He used to be Vine, but Vine is no longer.
I've never heard of that one.
So yeah, Vine is like, it came and went. I mean, and two, they come and they go. Also,
Mm-hmm.
you never know. Vine was like a 6-second video. You had that, and that was it. So, what do they read? What do they listen to? What do they watch? So these are all ways that you're going to know how you can attract them. So the more you know about them, the easier it is to get their attention, and the easier it is to create the words and phrases that are really going to attract their attention. And I have a whole, there's a lot of work that you can do around this. It's, to define your ideal client, number one, and then how to find the words and phrases that are really going to attract their attention. Because, there's a lot of noise out there. I mean, probably as we've been sitting here, there are probably 50 new emails in my inbox, maybe a couple of chats, Facebook messages, so while we're just sitting here, there's just tons of stuff that we're getting inundated with. So there's a lot of competition out there. So the more you can stand out and make yourself different and get their attention, the better off you are. So when you know where they are, you can be there too. And now the second point is to attract. How do you attract them? And that's what I was saying about, finding the words and phrases. So talking about their pain points, use the exact words they use. So when you're talking to a patient, we're so lucky in this field because we've got the best focus group in the world. I have a friend who does focus groups, and, companies pay thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to find out what their ideal client likes, what they're thinking, why did they come to, why are, when they use a product, what do they like about it, or when they want to hire someone for a service. Well, you've got that information right at your fingertips. You've got your ideal client sitting toe to toe to you, so you can ask them those questions. So what is it that brought them to you? Why did they come to see you? And I have a document too, if anyone's interested. I can give that to them, and that's magic testimonial questions to get great testimonials, or to, some of these questions that you can ask people in your intake forms also to find out what it is that they really want. What is their problem preventing them from doing, and things like that. And so talk about the benefits that your program provides, not the features. Features would be something that's like, you get 20 CDs, I've got all kinds of worksheets, workbooks, all this stuff. Well, a lot of times that doesn't sound great to people, right? It's just a lot of work. I don't want to do a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get the benefits. I want to get the good stuff. So, really focus more on what the benefits are, what the outcome is of the work that you do with them. And, you can talk a little bit about what the features are, just because people want to know what they're buying, but really focus more on the benefits. Because when you've got someone who's willing and who wants to make a lifestyle change, you have to capitalize on it right away, and don't let them think about it. Because if they think about it, they're probably going to think no, right? Because
right.
what happens, right? They get
Yeah.
time, they're like, no. So once you have kind of opened that door of willingness, really be there to help them make that decision.
Right. It's like telling them, it's saying, well, I'm going to provide a sleep guide to you. It's going to help you get some tools to sleep better. And then the benefit of that, and speak to the benefit instead by saying, wouldn't you like to sleep better? Instead of saying, let me tell you all about this document, you're going to say, I'm going to help you sleep better.
Right. And that's all they want. They don't want to know about the document that you're going to give them. All they want to know is that they're going to sleep better. That's the ultimate thing. And because people, it's like sort of like the area of their brain that makes decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the limbic area, which is like the ancient area of the brain, but it's always looking for danger. It's always looking for trouble. It's always looking for what bad things could possibly happen. And that's where people make decisions. And that's all based on emotions too.
Right.
Like, is it safe? Am I going to be able to do this? Is it safe? Is there danger involved? So the more you can appeal to that part of the brain in your marketing, and when you're really trying to get someone to make that lifestyle change, the better off you are. Let's see. And now we're going to talk about how to keep your clients connected to you. And this is what I was talking about, is keeping them coming back. So stay in contact with your followers. So whether it's through, it's a newsletter, it's just to keep that regular contact going. So always stay in communication. And remember that 80-20 rule. You don't want to be that person who's always selling to people. I hate it when I get emails from somebody and all they ever do is sell to me. They're not providing great info. They're not providing great content. It's just sort of like, oh, they're selling another product. That's the only time I get an email from them. And I unsubscribe to those people so quickly. But it's really providing them with value. And the more value you provide to them, when you finally make an offer, they're excited to buy it, because it's like, oh, she hardly ever makes offers. This is something that, I can really believe in. So they come to look to your information as something that really provides them with great value. So you can, also create a continuity program. So among your regular clients, have a Facebook group that they can participate in. A lot of people do that. Like in Mindshare, we have this super active, awesome Facebook group. People still participate in it. They, were there in the very first Mindshare that we had in, 2013, and they're still participating. They may not have been back to a Mindshare, but they're still active in the Facebook group. So they still are getting that great connection with other people. And, also making, you can still make offers to them, and they really come to trust you as the expert.
And they're more willing to refer you because you're giving them things that are valuable to them. And, creating that business of referral, that's effortless for you as long as people share your information, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that was one thing too, is would still get a lot of referrals from people that had been to Mindshare, years before, but they said, "Oh, you should go to Mindshare." So it's just absolutely, it's just creating goodwill. It's just
Yeah.
really creating goodwill. It's not about the sale. It's really about creating a lifetime loyal base of customers.
Yeah.
And the more you're able to do that, the better off you are, because you're going to just create a lot of goodwill out there in the community for you and what you're doing. So number 4, set up your marketing calendar 6 to 12 months in advance. And
Ugh,
I know, right? Everybody
so
screams.
hard.
I used to scream too, but it makes it so much easier because, in our practice, we would, all of a sudden we'd look at the appointment book and it'd be like, oh, there's no new people in the calendar. And, appointments were kind of dwindling, especially in the summer months, because it just slows down in the summer. People are out of town on vacation and whatever. So then we would have to scramble to find an event, to start calling up businesses that we knew, or, to go do a lunch and learn and whatever. And it was just a scramble, and it just is stressful, and it's not fun. So it's really great when you identify all the things that you can participate in. Look at a marketing calendar from a year in for the year in advance, and Chamber of Commerce has them. Your local cities have them. So you just start Googling events in town, festivals, fairs, just depending on who your ideal client is, where they hang out. Yoga festivals, the Wanderlust Festival, that would be a great
Mm.
place for health coaches, things like that. Just so once you start Googling, and I'm research girl, right? I love research. So I just start Googling, and I look at, and just start thinking of keywords that I can find, start typing them in and go, oh, wow, that's a great idea. That's something that I could participate in. So whether it's trade shows or, whatever it is. So kind of think a little out of the box. But once you start Googling events and things like that, you'll start to get more ideas of places that you can be, maybe local businesses that are around you or whatever, depending on if you have a brick and mortar or if you have a virtual business. Let's see, blog weekly, speak monthly, do an event. I think that's quarterly, and then network constantly. So you want to always be networking,
Yes.
especially, and I think, at health coaches, you can network anywhere. I mean, when I was working in the clinic, I'd go to Chamber of Commerce, I'd go to different places, and everybody there was a potential client for me, just because that everybody needed my services, or maybe they didn't necessarily know or want, but you can make an argument that everybody would like to be healthier in some way, shape, or form. So there's always that kind of thing, is just to put yourself out there, be friendly, and let people know what you do. And that's also having a great elevator speech, very concisely say what it is that you do and who you help and who your ideal client is and what the benefits are and that they're going to get out of that.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I told you I wouldn't interrupt you, but I don't want to forget it. I'm taking
Okay.
some notes down here too. One of the things that I do get a lot of coaches complaining about is it can be absolutely exhausting trying to find, how can you appeal to people? How can you find people? One of my comments is always like, you have to be seen. You have to be visible, whether it's live, or doing videos, doing webinars, doing Q&As online, or it's knocking on doors and saying, can you host me for a meet and greet? Can I do a talk? What can I do for your business? Do you
Mm-hmm.
have any tips for people? Let's just talk real quick about the local part. What are your recommendations for someone who's just starting out and is, and is maybe a little fearful of knocking on doors and saying, hi, I'm a health coach. I want to be able to add to your business and add value to you. Do you have any tips about how they can do that and, really start kickstarting that coaching business locally?
Yeah. So do you mean like working in a doctor's office, or just
Anywhere, just getting exposure, just trying to get that exposure. How do
okay.
they, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So out in the community, I mean, I would say, for me, looking at, networking events and, places where people are to sort of talk about business. Also, I just think that, there's so many opportunities. Your parties. I would get clients from going to a party. My boyfriend would invite me to a party that one of his clients or one of his coworkers were giving, and they would ask what I do for a living, and I would say I'm a health coach, I'm a nutrition consultant, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I would would tell me more. Really kind of getting your elevator speech down, so that you have an open-ended question, so that people would say, like, tell me more. Oh, tell me more about that. I've been interested. I've been thinking about maybe seeing someone for this, but tell me more. So, having like, here's a good formula that I learned. I do X, which is, so I do health coaching, so that, or I do X for, and then who your ideal client is. So maybe women who are, maybe postmenopausal, or something like that. You wouldn't want to say that, but something a little bit more interesting than that, or not so menopausal. I don't like to use that word. But and then so that they can have more energy, sleep better, whatever. So have the maybe like more of a benefit statement.
Okay. So for example, I'm a health coach that helps women with hormone imbalance sleep better and lose weight and feel more comfortable in their skin. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Very simple.
maybe put in a word like, effortlessly or easily, something like that, so that it's a little bit different. It's like, oh, well, how do you do that easily? Like, how is that
Mm-hmm.
easy? Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would be, have a sort of a little something in there that they can say, oh, how do you make it easy? So like something like that.
Yep.
That,
Yep. Okay. So business after hours, networking events for maybe health fairs, but really just stepping outside of that comfort zone of sitting behind your computer and getting out into the world.
yeah. Yeah. And also, you can be in like in forums, in chat rooms, or in, different, like on LinkedIn, there are different organizations, different groups on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Also, meetup groups too. That's another place that you can look, is go through the meetup,
Yep.
meetup.com, and look and see what things are out there. There's a lot of opportunities, I think. And just sort of looking, and what do you like to do? Maybe it's a hiking group, like maybe you like hiking, or where are people that are going to be more interested in health stuff, and, test the waters and see what it's like. I think, marketing is sort of like it's an experiment. It's always an experiment. You just never know what's going to work best for you and
Mm-hmm.
your particular business, and who you're actually going to appeal to. But by
Right.
going where they're most likely to be, I think one of the things too is knowing who is your ideal client and how to speak those words to them that are going to get their attention. I think that's like one of the best things that you can do, is really finding your ideal client and looking at what is your niche market. And I'm not saying that you have to only stay within your niche. I get a lot of pushback from my clients saying, well, I don't want to just help one kind of person. I want to help
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Well, I'm not saying you can't help everybody, but I'm just saying that it really helps it helps you when you focus your marketing, when you're able to narrow in on one type of client. It just makes it so much easier to attract them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to touch
So,
on that.
no, that's okay. I'm glad you did, because sometimes I forget stuff. So, okay, so social media. So again, here, based on your ideal client and demographics, you target the platform that they're on. So you want to find out, sometimes you can ask the platform directly on Facebook. They'll tell you who the demographics are of their
Mm-hmm.
clients. You go into their advertising section, and you'll see they're women, ages, whatever, 34 to 75 or whatever it is. It changes a little bit. What's their income level? Are they men? Are they women? What the whole thing is. So that's something. There's another company too, I'll give you the address of later on, that also does research into different social media platforms. Then community marketing, find community events that match your philosophy and your ideal client. Like I said, the Wanderlust Festival, that could be great. Maybe, Equinox, a health club here in Southern California, they put on events, they put on a cycling event, they put on things that raise money, fundraisers. So that's another place to have a presence that you can potentially pick up ideal clients at. Doing talks at a gym. you can do a talk on a certain topic that might be of interest to their clients and to your ideal client. Networking, attend or create a meetup group, speak at one, join functional medicine groups, Chamber of Commerce events, women's groups, things like that. See wherever you can speak, if there's, because a lot of meetup groups, sometimes they're looking for speakers and for people to, come and talk as an expert at their group, Rotary clubs, things like that. Also, a great, something that's really important is to have a clear offer. Know what you're selling, know what your offer is. So, if you have a program or a package, that just makes it that much easier to really articulate what you do. You have a 6-week program that help women lose up to 10 pounds and 20 inches or whatever it is. But the more you know about the outcome of your program, the better off you're going to be able to describe it, and people are going to be able to picture themselves doing your program, right, working with you. So that's
I'm glad you said that about the Rotary Club. When I was president of the Humane Society, one of the regular speaking things that I would have my staff do was to speak at Kiwanis and speak at the Rotary and because they're always looking for people. They're like begging us, can you come in and talk about, the spaying and neutering, talk about homeless, you're calling us because you don't have anyone else to come in. They're always looking for someone. And that's a great, let me tell you, those are great places to pick up clients as well, because we're talking about that, 35, 40 to 65 range of people that are probably entering areas of their life where they need more help with their health. So that was a great reminder.
Yeah. So there's just as a matter of, sitting down in front of the computer and Googling things, groups and organizations and things like that, you start to get a lot of ideas. So here's the social media strategy. So the platform demographics, that's important. PewResearch.com. Like I said, you're never going to find a 17-year-old boy. Well, you might find a few, but they're just not on Facebook. They're somewhere else. So you have to look, different places. And just so depending on who you're trying to attract, you want to be there. So Facebook is a social platform, right? It's super social. So where people get to know, like, and trust you. And that's really what you should be trying to do on your Facebook. It's really like post great stuff, post great info, great articles, maybe things like that, not, positive sayings, things like that. So that's great. So Twitter is really for awareness, engagement, and connections. I mean, Twitter can be a place where you meet connectors, because a lot of people, they're accessible on Twitter. If you can get their attention somehow, even like the bigger players. I mean, I know there was a nutritionist and a woman who had recipes. So the nutritionist did not have great recipes, and the recipe woman didn't really get into nutrition or programs or products or anything like that. So the two of them actually met on Twitter, and they started to do JV marketing and collaborative compounding, as Brendan Bouchard called it. So by combining their list, they, started to just grow exponentially. And now they're two of the biggest female marketers in the health space. But by combining their those two skills that were not in competition, but they were very complementary, they were able to really make some great partnerships between the two of them. So, look at Twitter for a way that you can access people that you may never be able to meet them out there in the real world, but on Twitter you can. So that's one of the beautiful things about social media. And then LinkedIn is for professionals, for networking, and for collaboration. So, LinkedIn is really great. And I think a lot of times it's kind of overlooked, but really make sure that your LinkedIn profile is complete. You've got a great picture. Now you can really even customize your background on LinkedIn and make it, talk a little bit almost like a Facebook page, Facebook business page on your LinkedIn profile. And look at groups that you can join and start to participate, because they have a lot of, they've got a lot of interaction on LinkedIn now. I belong to a few, health coaches groups and things like that. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of questions that are asked. So if you can jump in and participate in some of these other groups too, it's really good. You will attract attention and people will get to know who you are because you're so active. There's also something, what's it called? Oh gosh, I'm going to forget what it is now, but it's a new, it's called, I want to say, is it Mention? It's not Mention. Oh gosh, it's escaping me. I'll think of it later, hopefully. But it's a great platform to, publish stories, and you can just submit your stories to them. Oh, it's called Medium. It's called Medium. Have you heard of
I'm on
Medium?
there. I'm
You
on. I
are?
actually
Okay.
write for
Yeah,
that. Yeah. Not as
great.
often as I should, but I do.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's great. So, that's I see a lot of friends of mine that are on Medium and they get published. So that's
Hmm.
another way to attract attention. So, I mean, those are the big ones. I think those are the major ones. But then again, there are smaller social media platforms too that, are even up and coming, like Instagram. I mean, Instagram is now getting so big. So Instagram is that's also a great one. A lot of people are really getting a lot of engagement from Instagram, and they're really, they're up and coming, and definitely, yeah, because I think Facebook owns Instagram now. So it's, it's all,
It's all tied together. I've also heard that you can having Pinterest could be really powerful too for people.
yeah,
And that seems to be one of the ones that you kind of keep your eye on as well because people
yeah.
love Pinterest.
Absolutely. I love Pinterest. I love Pinterest. And people spend like 20 to 30 minutes on Pinterest. I took this marketing class at UCLA a couple years ago. It was like in 2015. I took this marketing class, and it was so great because it was all about social media. And they had someone come in from YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, like all the big ones, Facebook. So they had their representatives actually come into class, and they did an hour lecture on that particular social media platform. So that was awesome. And I just like kind of saved all the slides and looked. The information is outdated now, but they had all the info. Like women would spend, or people would spend 20 minutes on Pinterest just dedicated to checking out boards. And especially if
Mm,
you're in the health industry too. I mean, it's great for recipes, for pictures of recipes and different boards. And that's such a good point, because
yeah.
Pinterest is wonderful. And it's a,
Easy
it's
to
a,
share.
yeah, it's easy to share, and it's fun to share, and it's fun to make boards, and it's fun to see what people are doing. I love Pinterest, and I totally get lost in Pinterest completely. And now they have all these ads too. So that's another, another way to get some visibility. So what's okay, here we go. This is a really, I don't know how much
Ah,
you can see, but this is crazy, right? This is something I got off the internet in, I think 2016. And they don't, these guys aren't around anymore. It was called the Conversation Prism, and they're no longer there. But this is crazy because it just looks at everything, all these things. There's listening, learning, adapting, and TED Talks. You've got everything in here, and you just look at it, you get so overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, there are so many things and so many ways to have a presence on social media, and
oh my
so
gosh.
many things that you can do. Yeah, it's just crazy. So there it is. Yeah, so let's get off this slide. We get so overwhelmed. So we've got just a few here. We've like narrowed it down to a few. So, Facebook, YouTube. And YouTube is wonderful because Google owns YouTube now. So YouTube is like the
Hmm.
second largest search engine in the world. So people
Yep.
are searching on YouTube for how to this, how to that, like how to make a smoothie, how to eat healthy, how to get healthy, how to be pretty. I mean, just all these things that you
Yes.
can you can make up a little video of and just post it on YouTube and get some engagement. You can drive, put your URL down there, drive traffic to your website, drive stuff to a landing page, whatever. So, YouTube is a great way now to get more engagement. So community marketing, how are we doing here on time?
I think
Create.
we're about 40 minutes in, I think.
Okay, so identify your opportunities. Prepare talks on topics that are related to your ideal client. Brainstorm places to present. This is a lot of, kind of repeat info, but even clinics like health, you can go to a doctor's office and say, hey, I'd like to talk, maybe I do a presentation for your patients on, this and that. Of course, you want to get to know the doctor a little bit better, but that's also sort of a strategy where you can provide some assistance. You can provide, a way for the doctor to, take some pressure off of the doctor in order for the doctor to help create community around his practice. So health clubs, small businesses in the area, lunch and learns are great. I did a lot of lunch and learns, and that was a great way to get patients and clients. And then the library. I mean, even the library, that's a great place to hold an event. You would probably publicize it in other places. You could also publicize it at the library, but just because it's at the library is, it's like a very kind of non-threatening place for people to go. And
Yeah.
it's like they don't feel like, oh, I'm going to get sold to. I have a doctor that I work with, and she was like holding events in her office. I said, well, why don't you try holding it in the library? Because sort if you're holding an event in your office, sort of they think, well, I might have to like do something. I might have to sign up for something. But if it's at a neutral location like a library or even a hospital, it seems more it's like a public service thing.
Yeah.
Which of course it is, but it's just less threatening for people to go to.
Yeah.
So, and then market to doctors. So call, visit, send them information. I think one of the biggest things is that, because in my practice, we had nutritionists, we had the health coaches, we were trying to hire, we hired a nutritionist, we hired a couple of them, but so we were looking for someone who could help us build our practice, right? That's what we were looking for the health coach or the nutritionist to do, is to really be proactive, bring patients in. They were looking to get our patients, they were looking to get business from the doctors. So it was sort of like, we were sort of at odds. It didn't really work that well because they were thinking we were going to refer them a lot of patients, and we did refer them patients, but we were really thinking that they would be doing things to drive people into our office, which really didn't happen that much. And ultimately, it just felt like it was a one-way street, that we were just doing all the referring, and the health coach wasn't really going out and doing anything to proactively bring people and build their practice, build our practice. So ultimately, it wasn't a reciprocal kind of arrangement. So it wasn't all that beneficial for us in the long run. So it was just, it was better for us to just have an employee that was doing that instead of, health coach. So anyway, it's all about adding value. It's really about what can you bring to the table? How can you help the doctor? How can you help them build their practice? How can you contribute and provide value for them, and, kind of take some of the pressure off of them, whether it be in treating patients day to day, or, doing the hand holding or doing the phone calls or things like that, or whether it be bringing patients in and doing talks in their office.
I think that's a great, that's one of the points that you never know where someone is struggling in their practice, or where there's holes that they wish that they could fill if they had more time. So walking in with that question is, where do you feel that you are you're the least present, but you feel like you should be more present for your people? How can, I help you to support your patients more? And honestly, I almost started, this is funny, but probably about 9-10 years ago, about, a few years before I started health coaching, I thought about doing a phone business where I worked for doctors, just calling and saying, how are you feeling today? Calling their patients and saying, how are you feeling today? How, since your appointment yesterday, is there anything any messages you want me to relay to the doctors you have concerns about?
That's
because
great.
I was that chronic condition patient like you.
Yeah.
I have a story too, but, and what I wished for and wanted more than anything was just to be able to call someone and say, I need to talk to the doctor, or this is what's going on for me. So I thought, what a value that would be.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. And I think that's so true, because that really fills a need, it really does. So that's, a lot of times, like I said, if I had that from any of these, doctors that I went to for that 8 months that I was trying to get better, I probably would have gotten a lot better, because my friends
Yeah,
were so sick of hearing me talk about, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because I'm not feeling good. And they're like, well, you look fine,
I know.
but I don't feel fine. I'm not.
Yep,
So,
I get
yeah.
it.
Okay, so here's what I call the client store. These are places that you can find clients. One, Holistic Chamber of Commerce. You can find people to network with there. Other people who have your target audience. So they're also seeing your target audience. So it's who is it that has a similar client base to you, and how can you do some cooperative marketing in order to share your client base and share you with them, and all that. Share your information with their people, and how you maybe can share their information with your people. So women's and men's clubs, like you said, that meetup groups, we talked about that, events, online communities, contribute, interact, be active in those online communities. And, people start to get to know you. And then professional organizations also, that's another one that you can, that you can look at. So, and creating your offer, let's see. So ultimately you want to have 3 offers. You want to have a high, medium, and a low end option. And that's basically, so like the number 1 would be like a do-it-yourself. It would be really no touch, where they don't really have any interaction with you, but you provide a meal plan, videos, handouts, maybe an online course. So it's just something that they can participate in, they can do without any participation from you. And that price would be $49 to $149. And I put the prices here because people are always asking me, how much should I price these things?
Yeah.
What are the prices? And so here they are. This is what they are. A group program would be low touch, phone calls, online course, maybe some one-on-one. You might do one, a kickoff, like you do a one-on-one consult to get them started, half an hour, something like that, depending on the price that you're charging for the program. But it's more interaction with you, and that will command a higher price, and that can be $149 to $497. But I tell you, with $497 price, that should include some product. Maybe it's a cleanse. Something like that. I worked with an MD, and she was doing a cleanse, and the $497, it was a bit of a harder sell. You just because people don't spend that much money on their health, and that's just the sad fact. They'll spend money on something that's going to make them money. So if you look at Jeff Walker, Product Lunch Formula, Brendan Bouchard, people that are selling products, Marie Forleo, B School, things like that. So if you're selling a product that's going to give someone a new skill, or someone that's going to be able to go out, take that skill and make money with, that's a higher price point, right? But if it's somebody that's spending money on their own health, for some reason, they just don't like to spend money on that. And that's the sad fact. But anyway, that's just sort of what it is. So the volume goes up.
Right.
And then there's one-on-one coaching. So you can do one-on-one, you can do the one-on-one high-end program where you're really holding their hand through the whole thing. And that's just an individualized, personalized program. Maybe you go into their house, you help them do, a pantry raid, you take out all the bad stuff, you take them to the supermarket, help them shop. So that would be a super high-end program where you're completely holding their hand, and that's $497 up to $1997. You can really pack a lot of value into that course. I used to do a high-end weight loss program, and that was anywhere, $1,200 to $49.97 for 6 to a 12-week program. It did include product, but there were body wraps. We did exercise. There was a lot of stuff included in that. So that was, that was a very high-end program, but it was all done for you. Meal plans, everything, and people actually bought it and they liked it. So, okay, and let's see, working with doctors. So show how you can add value to their practice. That's just one of the most important things I think that you can do, is really, have something outlined. Here's what I do. Here's a plan. I've got this program. This is what I can do for you. And maybe bullet point it. I can do a talk on this, that. And, maybe even bring up some statistics on how health coaching can benefit a practice. So really, what is it? Like Duke University has some studies, and different colleges too that have health coaching programs now. They have studies on how effective health coaching is when used for a doctor, along with the doctor's office. So create group programs for the doctor's current clients. And then, pricing. How do you price this? That's a common question that I get too, is, really it's up to you and the doctor. I mean, that's really the way that it goes. You have to look at, the Stark laws, which is the law that it's an anti-kickback, so that you cannot, a doctor can't pay you for referring a client to him. Or like vice versa, right? But what you can do is, if you're doing a group program and a doctor's referring people to you, or you're having a doctor, do the program, you can do something that's, you have him do a records review for his patient. So, and that you could pay, if a client's paying you $497 or something, you could give him, I don't know, $50 for records review, something like that. So you could just figure it out based on what the cost is of that particular program. And then, like, how many times is he going to do the records review? And then you just give him your chart notes, and then he looks at them and signs them off and says, okay, great, awesome, you're doing that. And that's it. Or you can also lease space from them, $10 for a room, or something like that. But there's just a way that you can work it out. Maybe just a group fee, maybe even hourly, something like that. So it just depends on how you're working in the doctor's office and what's really going to work best for the two of you. And you can also work in several different offices. You don't have to just work in one doctor's office. So sometimes, you could work in one doctor's office on Monday, another one on Wednesday, and another one on Friday.
What is the Stark? You just said something about the Stark laws. That's something I hadn't heard. What is that?
Yeah, that's an anti-kickback law. It came about, and for like pretty much, I think it started out, probably chiropractors were the ones that were maybe instigated it. But if an attorney refers a doctor a patient and gives them money for that, or the doctor gives the attorney money for that, that's a kickback. So that's not allowed.
Okay.
So,
now that's nationwide? Doesn't matter what state you're in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's good to know.
So it's like an anti-kickback law, so that you cannot take money for actually referring somebody to a doctor. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's it's not good.
It's another finger on the button, I think.
Yeah, it is. It just, I mean, I think it so rarely probably happens, in particular in this area, but it's just good to be cognizant of, and why not protect yourself and your doctor who you're working with, and just, and knowing that these things is good, because it shows that you're really up on what's going on, like, and you want to protect the doctor. So setting yourself up for success, and having accounting software. The one that's really good is FreshBooks. Some of my clients use this, and it's really good. It has expense tracking, invoicing. It's pretty simple to use. It's not as clunky and as kind of hard to navigate through QuickBooks. So that's a good one. FreshBooks is good. Client management. How do you keep track of all your clients? I use something called Asana, which is actually project management software, but I've modified it to use it for my clients, because you can put in there downloads, the things that you've given them. And so I put all my client notes in. I just create a file in Asana for my clients. And then I put in everything that I've given them, so that I can quickly look at my client's folder, and I see, what did we discuss last week? What are we discussing now? What documents do they have? What documents do they owe me? And you can even add your client to Asana too, if they're kind of technically oriented, and they can upload stuff in there directly for you, if you're doing meal plans, diet diaries, things like that. So
I use it too. I moved from Basecamp to Asana that's where my team and I communicate. Yeah, it's good.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, Basecamp just confused the heck out of me. I was like, where is that document? But
I know. I was like, I can't live here anymore. We need a new place to live. We're moving. Yeah, so I moved everyone. Yeah, got it.
Out of Basecamp. I don't blame you. And then, something that I used back, archaic, I guess, maybe, but it really helped. If you're going from doctor's office to doctor's office, or you're going into people's houses and working with them, I had a portable documents directory. So I got those accordion files just to organize. It was actually in a box, so that it was like a hardcover thing, but it was just, everything was filed, and all of my client intake forms were there. So, I mean, if I were to go to someone's house, I could have them fill out the forms right there. And, everything was just right there. All the handouts that I would give them, and just my whole business was right there in 2 boxes in the trunk of my car.
Yep.
So it's so that's a good way to kind of keep yourself organized. And then some social media posting tools, which can save you a lot of time and effort. One of them, to make the things for posting, Canva or Over. to create posts. Over is great to just do on your phone. You can be sitting somewhere waiting for an appointment and create stuff to post on Facebook from right there. Buffer or Hootsuite to batch post across multiple platforms. So you can just pick and choose the platform you want to. I like Buffer because they also have a feature where you can look through and find articles. You can add something to your news feed in Buffer. And so it might be research on a certain topic. So if you're a thyroid specialist, you can subscribe to different journals, and you can just put in, you want to know all the articles that come up about thyroid. You can pick and choose what you want to know, what you want to get. And right inside Buffer, you can just click on an article, look at it. Oh, I like that. That's great. And then you can schedule that article for being posted. You just write a little intro in there in Buffer, and then it schedules it out for the week. So I love that feature about Buffer. I think that's where it has it over Hootsuite. And then, you can do this. I mean, this is definitely something you can do. So identify your ideal client, your marketing strategy, identify, attract, I couldn't get this, yeah. So let's do it the right way. Identify your ideal client, attract your ideal client, create your own opportunities, get your marketing strategy together on and offline, get clear on what your offer is, and get your business organized. And then there's your little, virtual or brick and mortar storefront. You've got a business.
Awesome. Okay. So just wanted to make sure everybody knows I'm getting to questions here in just a second. So I see you guys asking, I wanted to save to the end so we could stay on track, but if we're ready to I'm going to scroll through the chat real quick, Patty, if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, Lisa, I'll talk to you guys about how to zoom into Facebook once I figure out where that feedback was coming from. Absolutely. We'll get you guys on that. Let's see here. Okay. So, when she says speak monthly, does she mean online? Do you mean online, webinars, live video? And you said events quarterly. Does that mean health fair, speaking engagement? Can you elaborate a little bit and maybe break that down a little bit on what's most effective?
Yeah. So, speaking monthly, that would be, something that you do, that's not a huge lead time. I mean, I would say, one of the things that I like to have people do is to take a look at the national day, like national month, whatever it is. So this is National Heart Healthy Month. So if you just, that can give you some great ideas, because there's National something or other day, there's Autism Week, Autism Day, there's so if you just start looking through that thing, there's one for health in particular, and then there's one for these, general national blank day in general. And, it's great to just use that as a tool to set up your whole marketing calendar in advance. So if January is Heart Healthy Month, or, it's Autism Month, or whatever, Thyroid Awareness Month, you can pick your topics based on that. And it just gives you sort of a framework to say, hey, you know what, I specialize in this, or I want to be specializing in helping people with thyroid disease. So I'm going to select that for my January speaking topic. And so, you can publicize it. So if you go to the library, you want to go to, do that event, you can tell the library, hey, you know what, January is National Autism Awareness Month. I'd like to come and do a talk on autism. Can we do that? So that just sort of helps to give you that framework, and helps other, organizations that you might be speaking at. It helps them to see how, that might fit in with what their overall plan is. Anyway, so speaking monthly would be something like that. It would just be a speaking event somewhere, anywhere, really. And then an event quarterly is something bigger. Maybe you're participating in a festival, or maybe you're having an event, it could be like a webinar on Facebook or something like that. You might do a cooking demonstration. So you might be doing, an awareness program, or you may be, doing releasing a program, making an offer. So it would be something like that. So it could be online or offline, and you can adapt that kind of that rule or that guideline to, either or a combination of both.
Okay, that's great. And I love that. That is a great idea about the national holiday, or the national recognition, or the national whatever. I mean, the first thing that came into my head was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. How could a health coach take a topic that everyone is always talking about, do mammograms, do thermography? I mean, automatically I got a thought in my head about how great iodine has been shown to be for breast tissue. a health coach that wants to really change it up and step outside the box could educate people on how important iodine is for breast health in the month of breast cancer awareness. How our soil is depleted of iodine. You could do an entire hour and a half talking about something like that. So that's how you pull, and I'm just kind of speaking here, but that's how you can pull your knowledge about food and movement and sleep and all of that into these national topics, and turn it into a health topic, no matter what it is, really.
That's great. Yeah, because it's in the news, and newspapers and news outlets and media is always looking for, good stories to cover too, as long as there's, if it's a slow news day and you send them a press release, there's, then they might want to interview you. You just never know. You just never know. I had a friend
and then go ahead.
Oh, I had a friend who got in with the local DJs on a DJ morning show on a local thing, and they got so much business from that because they put the DJs on a weight loss program. They lost weight. They started to feel great. They talked about it on the air, and it just really helped the business a lot. So, if you can do stuff like that, that's awesome. If you can get that
is awesome.
Going.
I wish I'd have thought about that.
Yeah, no, that was really a helpful thing. And that, her business was made, and the doctor's office was thrilled because she was bringing in a steady stream of patients, and they started to be regular guests. They would even go into the radio station and be on the air guests. So you never know.
That's awesome. What a great idea. So if you have no fear of speaking, and I've been on the radio and on TV and on the newspaper when I was in animal welfare, and you have to overcome it and just do it. I just have to say, if you want to help your cause or help your business, you got to figure it out. Let's go on to the next question by Kathy here. She says, I had a networking contact call me just to find out about me and personally offer her services. Reminded me about forward to ask potential clients about their family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So just what you were talking about, get to know your client. That's a great little acronym there, FORD. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. That's good, right? Cool. Yeah. I've never heard of that before. Yeah.
I like that.
So Kathy said, is there any way to post to all social media platforms at once? And that was Hootsuite you were talking about, and Buffer, right?
And Buffer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was early on. That was early on in the talk. Mary Louise said that circle is how she feels a lot of the time, that overwhelming circle. That we were like, let's get off of that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like, I can't breathe.
Yeah. Okay. Kim is asking, how do you recommend we get the doctor to talk to get past the receptionist? How do you get past the gatekeeper when you're trying to get in with a doctor's office?
That's a good question. Well, I think I think it depends on the doctor. It's, if the doctor, I don't know if the doctor does any networking or if it's a functional medicine doctor. One of the things is just to be persistent. I mean, I think that's the best way. I mean, we had a chiropractor who wanted to work in our office, and she came and she sat in our reception room. She just sat there for days. I mean, days, and just waiting to talk to the doctor. And he didn't want to talk to her. He was out the back door. The next day, she was there again, sitting there. And I'm like, we don't want to hire an associate. We don't need anybody in the office. She was so persistent, though. Finally, he said, okay, I'll talk to you. And, and I was sort of like, you got to talk to her. She's going to be here until you do. So it's like, obviously, She's not going anywhere. And we ended up hiring her. She worked there for 3 years. She learned so much, and she was a valuable part of our practice. She did all the x-rays. She would do patient intake. She would go out. She did corporate wellness events with me. I mean, she was awesome, but it was her persistence. And it was also her, she wanted to learn the system that we were doing. We were doing a very, rehab system hardly anybody in our area was doing. So she wanted to learn it. And she said, I will do anything. I want to add value to your practice. I want to help you with this system. I know I can help you. So I think one of, part of it too is, maybe make a list up of benefits and things that you can do, and some research on how much health coaches can bring into a practice, how much money you can help them make. I think it's just like anything, the fortune is in the follow-up, and sales is about being consistent. And when people realize you're not going away, they'll be like, okay, I'll talk to you, and if you can make your case when you get in front of them, then that's how you're going to start working with that doctor. But it's
Yeah.
impressive if you don't go away.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Evelyn is asking, how do you work in a doctor's office as a health coach and legally protect yourself and the doctor if the doctor's paying you a salary? And then she has another scenario. How do you protect yourself and the doctor when he refers you? So, I mean, I'm a big fan of like personal insurance, no matter where you go. You should have your own insurance, no matter where you work. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, some of the insurance companies for health coaches today even have that addendum or that add-on that says, add this protection if you're going to be working in other venues, right? So that would be something that you would add. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of, if a doctor's paying you a salary, then you're an employee of the doctor's office. And so you are under his umbrella. So you are under his insurance policy. Whatever you say or do should really go under the doctor's umbrella, because it's his responsibility or her responsibility to make sure that the information that you're giving is correct. But in terms of, having your own insurance, having your own protection, of course, you always want to put the caveat on there when someone starts working with you that, this is not intended to diagnose or treat any condition, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not, the scope of my license does not allow me to diagnose or treat or anything. And, in some states like California, anyone can be a nutritionist. There's no degree for nutritionists, so there's no anything. So there are really no restrictions in terms of what you can do. But if you're a dietitian, though, you're held to a higher standard because you are licensed and you are held to that standard. But is putting the caveat that this is not what I do. This is what I do. I give you advice. I give you options. So what it is you do and what it is you don't do.
Right.
And then in terms of, insurance policies, I think it's just, I do agree. I think everybody should have, if you're doing any kind of consulting and things like that, you should have an insurance policy. And if you are going to another venue, and I think it just depends on what it is, if it's an event or something, it's different. If you're actually doing work at an event, that would be different. Putting on an event, you need separate insurance if you're putting on an event, for sure.
Okay. Becky is saying, this is fabulous info, best I've heard in a while. Is there any way to get a transcript of this? I will actually, what I'm going to do here, Becky, is I always give, if you've registered and you're on, you're on my newsletter list, you're going to get a copy of the replay, and then I can share the chat with you all if you're interested. And that way you can see the slides as, you can pause them, you can take notes, however you want to do that. You'll be able to have access to the replay. Stephanie asked, will slides be available? That's the same thing. So I'll just provide the replay. And just as an FYI, if you're in the Health Coach Mentorship and Mastery group with me, this will live forever there. It doesn't go away. It's going to be in with all the other experts and webinars that I provide. You guys get access to that at all times for being a part of that group. So, and Stephanie, you're in there, so I know you'll be able to see that. Okay, Kathy's saying, she heard using posting services sometimes won't post due to algorithms. Is that something that you're familiar with?
On what, like, are you talking about Facebook or something like that? I wonder what it is.
I think she's talking about using Buffer or Hootsuite. I think she's saying if you're using a posting service, sometimes they won't post due to algorithms. Have you heard any disruption in that?
No, well, with Buffer, Buffer will, because they have a separate one for Twitter, for Pinterest, and you actually add you add something different. You've got to add something different for Facebook. You have to add a different little tagline for Facebook. For Twitter also, and make sure that it's 140 characters. So you can actually customize those posts. I have not found, using Buffer, that that's been an issue. And it doesn't seem, although I haven't really done a split test, I have to be totally honest, I've not done a split test to see if, if I were posting the same thing, if, Facebook preferred Buffer over another. But, I find that if I start getting engagement on a post in Facebook, it doesn't really matter if I've used Buffer to post it. But I think because of, the nature of Buffer, where you're adding your own comments in there, it's not just a blanket thing. the same thing for everybody. You can customize each little comment that you make on the post that you're posting. So it's much more personalized and individualized.
Yeah, and you can always Google that, you can always Google what she just mentioned, just, split testing, and ask those questions out there and see if there are people who have done it, and see if there are answers on that one as well,
Yeah.
right?
And you know what? I meant to put up a gift, so I'm giving a gift
Okay.
too, and I didn't forget that. So I'm going to offer a free 30-minute consult. If anybody wants to talk about any of these other, things in particular to their practice, I'm happy to
Yay.
provide that for your group. So if you
Well,
can
that's generous of you.
shoot me an email at patty@pattypatak.com. We can, to kind of talk about questions that you have, or talk about your practice, or, your own particular situation. So if that's something that you'd like to do, because I really want to help health coaches, because it's so important what you do.
Oh, so I appreciate that. And I will make sure you guys get everything. I will put that in the email as well, put her email address and a way to get in touch with her. So we do have a couple more questions. I want to go through these. We're about good on time, but Evelyn, when working with a doctor, can we legally call ourselves a case manager? So you say that this is the doctor wants you to do and refer to you as that. I don't see any problem with that. That's really a question for his staff or for him, but I would not see a problem. A case manager is not a legal term that I would be concerned about. Okay, here's Diana has a question, wondering how many clients Patty knows of who were able to get the prices you quoted, where you went into your tiered pricing, low, middle, and high pricing. Do you talk about kind of what your statistics are there? Because I know that health coaches, we have a tendency, a lot of people that I mentor have a tendency to believe that they're not worthy of asking for that much money for what they do. And I think that's a money mindset thing sometimes too, but what's your experience with that?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, there's a lot of health coaches out there that are making 6 and 7 figures actually. So, and they are charging those prices. One person I know is, she's got a program where she teaches people how to make healthy meals, and it's $97. Another health coach, that has a great program, she does a Candida cleanse, and that's $197. And that's like no touch. That's a group program. There's no one-on-one involved there. So
right.
they're definitely, and they're launching programs. They're getting hundreds of people signing up, and of course it's not right away. It's a slow build, but it's all about setting that foundation. It's really, and like I said before, looking at who's your ideal client, providing value for them, knowing what their pain points are, what are their needs, and how can you really create a program that's going to fill their needs and be the best possible program that there is, and how can you communicate that to them? And it's about the 80-20 rule too, as getting people to know, like, and trust you, so that when you do release a program, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, I know she's always got great value, she's got great material, and now I get to learn from her, a package that she's really put together just for me. So I think, so much of it is about value. And in my practice, I would sell programs, packages that were a year-long program, it's chiropractic, spinal rehab, wellness kind of thing. But, 10 years ago, I was selling packages for $8,400 a year, and people would pay that upfront. They'd go to their retirement account, or they'd go to their savings, and they would just pay for it. And, on the third and fourth visit, we would make the offer, I would make the offer to do this, and to change their life, and to change their health, and to get rid of their pain. And they were in. It's just about how you treat them, and what kind of you make them feel good, you make them feel confident, you make them really know that you're going to help them, and you're going to do the right thing for them, and that you're going to stick by them, you're going to hold their hand through it, and you're going to be their support system. And that's what people really need. So it's like, if you can really gain someone's trust, and you have social proof, of course you have to know that you can do it, and you have to have a great program, which we did. We had tons of social proof. But it's like, it's just making it possible for them to say yes, and
Yeah.
really nurturing them, taking care of them from the very first phone call, from the very first contact. Just always treat them with the highest degree of professionalism. Give them over deliver, over deliver, over deliver. You want them
Yeah.
to say, wow, that I didn't expect that. I didn't expect
Yep.
that, in a good way, of course. But it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I got so much more than I expected. And that's how you're going to get these loyal lifetime clients that are going to be just excited for the next thing that you release, because they know that you're going to help them.
Right. And just, I want to say one thing about that is, I've always said, that when we're being marketed to by you can make six figures doing this and that, and all these flashy, fancy people out there trying to get health coaches to purchase
Yeah.
their program because it's, you can make six figures like this. What Patty is saying is actually more real, you guys, is that it does take work and it takes time. And when she's talking about the value and the content and the nurturing and the hand holding, that's the work part. So you're not just going to make six figures because you can tell someone, I can help you with your gallbladder and your liver cleanse. That's not going to happen. You have to really invest your knowledge, your time, your energy, your emotions, and yourself into creating content and value that people think is worth putting that kind of money in. Then the six figures can eventually follow, but it is not, it's work and it takes time. So I'm glad that you made that comment, because too many of the people that are marketing to health coaches today are doing it in a way that makes it seem like they should just be like that. Oh, you should charge this and you should be wealthy. And that's not true.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like anything, you have to do the work. I mean, you really have to do the work, and so it's starting a business, and it's really starting with that foundational thing. And the best thing that you can do is identify your ideal client and know know your programs. And it's boring, it's not sexy, it's not fun, but it's that foundational stuff that you have to do. It's like, I love the story about Coach Wooden, who was like I'm not into basketball or anything, but I love this story. He was the coach, the head coach for UCLA, and he took them to 11 out of 12 championships. And the first day of every new season, all the new recruits would come in, and the first thing they would work on for the whole day is how to tie your shoes, how to put your shoes and your socks on. So here these basketball players are, they're so excited. They've been accepted to UCLA. They're there to play basketball, and they got to spend their whole first day on learning how to put your shoes and your socks on. And they'll be like, what is this? But, he says, if you get a blister, you're not going to play. And that's it.
Oh, it's a great analogy. What a great analogy.
So it's just, so you have to start with the basics, no matter how boring, no matter how much you think you got to go back and do the work and be sure that So,
Yeah.
and that's what's so great about, having a mentor, having a program, is that somebody who's been there, who's been through it, they can take you through it, and they can say, hey, look, you know what, here are the things that you don't see coming. Here are the things that you need to pay attention to. And here's how to really set that foundation so that you don't put yourself out of the game before you even get started.
Yeah, I told my son this morning, I said, sometimes the things that are worth having are the hardest things to get to, because you have to take so many steps that aren't fun and they're not enjoyable, to sometimes, you go through the pain of something to get to the reward. And your example is great, because my husband had started my son on, he's been playing soccer since he was old enough to put a ball on his toe. And then recently, last year, started a travel team, which is the top in the state, and was frustrated. He was frustrated. He's like, because he wasn't one of the top players. And my husband said, put these weights on your ankles and juggle the ball, or do this or that. And he's like, I've been doing that for years. And he's like, well, you gotta start backward at the basics, but we got to add a little thing in here. It made him faster in a week. He was faster and doing better. I mean, yeah, so you're right. And I think that we tend to think that we should just be successful just because we have a certification, just because we ran one program. It's a constant ongoing thing, you guys, to always be marketing and learning and providing value. This is not a business where it's just over with just because, right? We have to constantly be growing.
Yeah. And then look at your unique abilities too. I think that's another thing too, is like, how are you unique? What sets you apart? And that's part of telling your story too, is really looking at what it is about you that makes you uniquely qualified to help your ideal client. How can you set yourself apart from the rest of the people that are doing health coaching out there? What is so unique about you and your experience, and what led you to this particular place. And, being vulnerable and not being afraid to talk about, those things that might be a little bit difficult and might be a little bit uncomfortable. But the more that your ideal client can really relate to you, the better that they're going to say, hey, you know what, she's a real person. Like, she's not on a pedestal, and I can trust her, and I know she knows because of what she went through. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
important. It's so important to be relatable. It's so important to be relatable. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We are at we're a little bit over, almost into an hour and a half of your time that we have taken. And I'm just, again, so thankful for you. And, it's really refreshing for me, just as a person who has been health coaching for over 7 years. I was in the same space you were, where you're like hollering out into the cavernous emptiness of health coaches and programs, because there is nothing. Back then you're like, hello, where are my people?
Right.
It's just really nice to know that, you see the importance of health coaches where you are today, and that I'm going to see you at Mindshare in a month. I will hunt you down and give you a hug for your time. But just, to know that there are other wellness professionals and the pioneers and experts out there that see the value in us it's just refreshing. And it makes it, I think it, and I hope that it provides that hope to the coaches that are on today and that will be listening, that that everything that we're doing and how hard we're working is for a good reason, and that we have a place in this business. It just really means a lot to me.
Yeah. Big place, big place, because there's a huge gap. There's just a huge gap, and there's got to be somebody in there to fill it. So
I agree.
I'm really happy that you're doing what you're doing too, because it's so important. And thank you for being with me today and for sharing your time. And anyone who would like to, please send me an email and just just write in the subject line that I promised you a 30-minute 30-minute.
I'll have them put my name on there too, so that you know where they're coming from. But
perfect.
Yeah, and I'll get that. We'll get that sent out in the next 24 hours. We'll have the replay. We'll have the gift and the contact information. And then, yes, you guys, the mentorship people are like, will this be in yes, it will be in there. Just a reminder, I will plug it into the platform. And it's also going to live in my institute, which opens this at the end of this summer. I'm going to be putting this into the training and the experts, and awesome. You and I are going to be talking further about some more training for the institute students as well, right?
Very exciting. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. That'd be awesome. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks again, Patty. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to meeting you in person soon. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.